Yeah.
Hi.
Hi there.
My name's Adam Olsen. I'm the MLA for Saanich North in the Islands.
My name's Aldous. I work for Adam Olsen, with Adam Olsen. I run his constituency office.
This is the Public Circle Live. This is the public outreach arm. Public Circle is a public outreach arm, public engagement arm of the work that we do in the constituency of Saanich North and the Islands. The Public Circle Live is, we get together once a week on a Friday afternoon at 4:30 to chat about the week in politics. This week we are going to talk about the year in politics. As you can see, we're not in our constituency office today. That's because we had a meeting downtown. We'll talk a little bit about that probably later.
It's been 1 year.
It has been 1 year. So we're shooting live from my legislative office. And I'll take you for a tour in the legislative office here, my legislative office, because none of the people in here wanted to be on the Public Circle Live. So I'm not going to take you through the bigger part of the office because they're camera shy. And I'm sorry, but you can blame them. Or I will. One of the two.
Anyways, it's been a year since on May 9th, 2017, Adam Olsen here was elected for Saanich North in the Islands.
367 days.
That he's been the MLA for the riding. And we also elected two other Green MLAs.
We did.
Sonia Furstenau from Cowichan and Andrew Weaver from Oak Bay Gordon Head. 3 Green MLAs elected in a razor-thin provincial election. Everyone was on the edge of their seats. We go back a year ago. 9 votes, I believe, was the difference in Courtney Comox originally.
That's right.
That was determining a majority or non-majority government at the time. It ended up being a bit more than that. But we ended up having a situation where the 3 Green MLAs had the balance of power or the balance of responsibility, which is a better way to phrase it. And why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, it's been one of those surreal. I mean, the month of from May the 9th to May 30th or 29th or 30th of last year was absolutely surreal. Probably only matched by how surreal it's been for the last year. The fact that we've got through a year.
A year.
We're 25% away from this through this term, which is pretty fantastic. We've actually had quite a number of accomplishments. We've also got a lot of work to do, and like one of the things that's important is we had a great lunch meeting today where we got to hear about how we can improve on some of the work that we do and get better. That's something that we're committed to.
Absolutely.
And we had a lunch this afternoon about how we can govern better. Frankly, how we can govern our region better, more efficiently, more effectively. How we can take advantage of the incredible experience of people in whatever industry that we're talking about. And I think that what we find in government is that we like to build up big walls around us and think that all the wisdom is in this building. Well, I can tell you from the experience, the very humbling experience that I've had over the past year, that the wisdom is outside this building and that we have to do a better job. And that's part of what the Public Circle's about. That's part of what the community dialogues are about, what our town halls are about. The wisdom is outside this building, and we have to find a way to bring that wisdom into these walls, the big stone building that we are in down here on Belleville Street.
And to that point, I think it's really important to emphasize that the more we do this, the more we find out that people really want to engage.
Yeah.
They want to share. They want to be a part of it.
That's right.
And a lot of times we dismiss that, and I think that's a mistake. And so we're trying to take in that advice.
Speaking of which, leave a comment, whether you're watching it live or this video live, or you're watching a rebroadcast. Make sure that you engage with the video. I usually, on a Friday evening, will circle back around and answer some of the questions. We've got Laura Parker and even perhaps Ryan Clayton if he's back. Ryan was today representing me on Salt Spring Island as they were celebrating the transit bus
anniversary of
30th year anniversary on Salt Spring. So thank you, Ryan, for doing that. So ask us a question, engage with us, and make sure that you hit the like button and stuff. So So what do we have? We've got a long list of things that we've done over the past year.
We do. You know, historic election. You had to choose which side to support. You know, you went into negotiations with both parties, where of course Green Party, independent of the other two parties, had very different platforms, very different things we were running on, and you were faced with a tough decision, very tough decision,
most difficult decision that I've had to make in my life. No question about it. It was really about values for me. It was about making sure that the values that I ran on and some of the campaign platform planks, that they were going to be realized. And so, it was a tough choice. And we certainly knew that there was a decade and a half of a certain kind of governing. And then there was the unknown of what maybe the next 4 years of governing would be in partnering with the official opposition. I think when it came down to it, we took a look at the fact that a very strong majority of British Columbians voted for something other than the government, and so
they voted for change.
They voted for change, and so I felt that it was important to honor the fact that British Columbians did vote for change. They did want something different, and that we owed it to them to try that. And in fact, you know, this experiment, if it is an experiment, it's where the NDP and the Greens working together. Clearly, the NDP have 41 seats, so let's not.
And they are the government. Let's be very clear.
That's right.
We're not a coalition. The Greens are in opposition, and we hear that a lot. Like, oh, you're part of government, and it's
no. I mean, clearly, in order to make certain things happen, the government needs to communicate with us, and that's what the confidence and supply agreement is, and frankly, that's what the confidence and supply agreement table that Sonia and I sit at with two members of the NDP cabinet, and we get together as well as our staff, chiefs of staff, we get together and have conversations, and for the first time in the history of the recent history of this place, we have multiple parties working together, and it comes with every kind of challenge and opportunity that every other relationship has. And you know in your own life about relationships and how much work it is. And there's no question that there's nothing easy about the work that we have in this place. And neither should there be. We make important decisions. I think what's important is that those decisions are in the context of the reality that we live in a great place. We want British Columbia to continue to be a great place. And I think that rather than having the focus so intensely on this place and the politics, and you know, we politicians in this house focus an awful lot on ourselves. I think it's important that we remember that there's a whole world out there around us. So
we had a change in government.
We did.
And that was a pretty tense time. We had the clone speech that we heard from the previous Liberal leader. Hold
on one sec. I voted for Adam. This was a comment from Bill Burns. I voted for Adam to get rid of our NDP MLA. I would not have done so if I knew you would support the NDP. The fact of the matter is that, look, I ran as a Green Party MLA with a platform that was put together by the Greens. I ran in a campaign with a Liberal candidate and an NDP candidate. I am neither one of those things, neither one of those parties, and we were put in a situation where we had a responsibility to the people of our province to create a stable government. We had a very thoughtful negotiation with both parties. We did it in good faith. And we had an agreement. So, Bill, I want to assure you, you did not elect an NDP MLA. You elected a Green MLA. And I have a responsibility to create and do my best to create a stable government based on the values with which I put forward during an election. That's exactly what I did. I continue to carry those values. We continue to make life, and as an opposition, we continue to ask tough questions. So I want to assure you that in the unique situation that we were put in, we continue to work very, very hard to ensure that we remain strong to the principles and the values that you voted for, hopefully. And not hopefully that you, but the strong values and principles and a strong ethic that we put forward. And as well, recognizing that every relationship requires a certain level of compromise, a huge amount of communication, and we have to work together to get the best policy that we possibly can. Sometimes we get pretty good policy. Other times, it leaves a lot of work to do. So I respect the comment, and I just want to be clear on the fact that you clearly elected a Green MLA. All right, fair enough.
Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, so then
Bill and I do find agreement. We do find agreement, and thank you.
One of the first things that I think we can look back on this year and feel pretty happy about, I think this goes for all parties, was that we got rid of big money in our electoral system.
Yes, that's true.
That was a big accomplishment. For those of you who don't remember, we were labeled as the Wild West of politics, of political fundraising. Anyone from anywhere in the world could donate any amount that they wanted to any political party. Wasn't a great situation.
No.
And you had massive donations coming from corporations and unions to the other two parties. The Greens ran on a principle to not accept donations from anyone but an individual. And now that's
in the past.
And we don't have to worry about it because no longer is big money in our political system.
I would say, people focus a lot on the large paychecks, and I think that it's really important to highlight the kind of influence that money has on political decision making. I was talking about it a little bit in here that oftentimes we get elected and then we start thinking about, and I've had a couple of conversations about this today, so it's really top of mind for me, but it's more about politicians immediately moving from getting elected to the next election campaign. Every decision that's made is about getting reelected. It's about power. It's about a pursuit for power. And I think that one of the things that happens is that the funding of those campaigns, there's a lot of influence that can happen in where that money comes from. And those who are able to cut big checks have a large influence over a political candidate and over a political party. And so I think one of the key things, key important factors in our democracy was to ensure that people were funding the political system, that the government, that those who were able to vote were funding political parties and political candidates. And clearly British Columbians wanted it. We knocked on every door that we knocked on. This was a massive thing. People were very, very concerned about who their government and who their politicians were serving. And so I was very, very proud during the fall session to work as the Green Party critic on this file. I worked with the government. I was very proud to be able to work with the Attorney General, David Eby, on this, and to I think come up with a fair balance as we moved away from massive political fundraising from unions and corporations to a different system. So I think that's a win.
I would say so. Yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely. Another big thing that we heard loud and clear and are continuing to work on is, of course, housing. It was a dominant issue during the election, continues to be a dominant issue. The BC Greens, put out a housing sort of platform in January, I believe, or early February, on some proposals that we were putting forward. The government, of course, as many of you know, has released some of their proposed plan. Details still forthcoming on a number of things. And we've heard both pro and con for things like the speculation tax, for how the housing unit and the housing hub is going to be rolled out, who and how and where those units are going to go. And that's all a bit more unclear than maybe we'd like, but it is moving in a direction.
Moving in a direction. I just say that, there's one of the things about reflecting back on the years, there's nothing more humbling than finding out what you don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think one of the things for me, which about this job, and I've been in political public life now for 10 years or so, and there's nothing more humbling than sitting with someone who's far more of an expert than you are. You say, okay, I'm in this situation for a reason. I'm in this situation because I need to listen and hear and use my ability to discern, the discernment to make a good decision. But there are a lot of people that have lived and worked a lifetime in an industry, and we sat this afternoon with a bunch of people that work in. They're not just all developers. They are developers and architects and
running
real estate,
nonprofits.
running nonprofits. They're in they're landlord
Lawyers.
That's right, property managers, and despite what people say, the fact of the matter is that every single one of us lives in a place that's been built by someone in that industry. And clearly their perspective is very important. And my job is to try to find the common ground and try to find a balancing point. You go around and knock on doors and hear behind every door people saying that the fact that we have no affordability in this housing market, that people can't afford to live in the places that they're in, that there's overhoused and underhoused everywhere, and trying to find the solutions to that's not easy. And so it has been one of the, if not the most humbling aspects of being in public life. I've been in public life for 10 years. I served as the chair of planning and development, 3 years into being in public life. There is still so much that I don't know, and so it's so critical to come into this job, into these walls, with an open mind and an ability to listen and learn and evolve and admit when you make a mistake and try to do better and commit to doing better every day. That is the only way, a humble way in which to approach this with a humble perspective, in which you're going to be able to make better decisions. And otherwise, what ends up happening is, again, you wall yourself off, you insulate yourself from the world, and you think, I'm just going to make these decisions kind of in a vacuum or in a box, and that certainly doesn't create the best public policy. And you can't listen to all one part of the industry either. You got to do your best and be open-minded to listen to all of the interests, whether it be the developers and the tenants, or the homeowners, the home buyers. It's incredibly complex, and we're learning that with the housing situation. We know that the housing market in our province was unsustainable in many parts of the housing province, and action needed to happen. And the government has taken some action, and they've done some good things, and they've done some things that we need to go back and look at. And I think that once government can get to a situation in which it says, you know what, maybe we didn't get it right, and maybe we should listen a little bit more intently to various aspects of the stakeholders, the interest groups, that's when we know that we've got a government that's attentive and making decisions and listening and trying to balance all of the interests of all of the people at the table. That we've got a government that's doing what it should be doing.
You know what, maybe I'll just step in right here and say that point is what we've tried to emulate in our constituency office. That listening point, that community engagement. Make a small plug here. We've got, for example, a community dialogue on Kinder Morgan coming up on May 17th. For or against, please show up. Love to hear your opinions on it, what we're doing right or wrong.
You can find a link of that in the comments. Actually, yep. I think probably, there we go. Linda will drop one, or not Linda, sorry. Laura will drop a link in there.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah. And also upcoming town halls. We have a whole town hall series in June. We hope for anyone in Saanich North and the Islands, you can attend those. Raise your questions.
7 meetings.
7.
I'll do a 20-minute update about the session, and then there will be a question and answer period for a good 70 minutes, hour and a bit. We've got 90 minutes scheduled. Check out the website. Check out all the events. You'll see on the homepage there'll be a link.
A lot of places to engage.
That's right.
And a lot of online engagement possibilities and a lot of in-person engagement possibilities.
Let's do one more plug of another. See, we do really have a a strong commitment to engaging as much as possible.
We do.
One of the things that's important for me is to do this job better than I'm doing it now, to become more attentive to you. And so one of the things we partnered with Royal Roads, and I really wanted to be able to do this, and we've been at this now for a year, and so we created a MLA feedback form. I'm going to be there to open it up, to welcome the people that are there. There's limited seating to 100 people. It's going to be run. Sign up. You can find that link on the website. Make sure that you join us, because this is an opportunity to evaluate how you think I've done as an MLA, and how the government's done, and even to a certain extent how our constituency office has been doing.
And on the issues that you care about. I do want to emphasize that. This is the people who show up determine what the agenda is going to be. Right. So if you really care about education policy and you want us to, the government is doing a great job or not doing a great job on education policy, and here's my feedback, come and share.
What have they been doing on education policy?
Oh, yeah,
I shouldn't have said.
I should
here
have
and
there.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'll say this. It is really, really important that there's a diverse group of people in this feedback forum. The last thing I want is a bunch of people in there that if everybody in there just thinks I'm doing a great job or a poor job or a mediocre job. I want a diversity of people in there to have a good discussion. I want to hear from people who don't think I'm doing a good job. I want to hear why. I want to be able to not only improve myself as a representative, but also improve the quality of service delivery of our constituency office. Mm-hmm. We're getting to the end of this, I think.
Yeah. So, a couple other things that have happened. Of course, big changes on salmon, or a big focus on salmon this year. That was a big change, and in the last couple of months we've been really working on it. Maybe you can chat on that.
I think something might be coming next week. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
So this week, I want to say we could have focused on a bunch of weekly issues.
Heard a lot on
issues that came up this week.
ICBC, and I don't know if you've seen, but the benefit corporation idea that Andrew introduced,
right.
Gotten some pretty good feedback on it. But because it's our year-long anniversary,
we thought we'd just focus on that. So what I'd say is I think I got up and spoke at second reading to 4 different pieces of legislation this week. You can find the videos of that on our website. Click on the YouTube link. You can go to YouTube and see it all there. I can't give you I'll put the YouTube link in the comment section later on. Go check out the videos for that. I had an opportunity to speak to parks and naming of parks. It was fantastic. It was a lot of work. It was a long week. That was just what I was doing. Sonia also got up and spoke multiple times. Andrew got up and spoke multiple times. We are in the crush of the last couple of weeks here, and there was a long window of where legislation was not coming onto the table. Now, all the legislation that's been put on the table over the last couple of weeks, the government's trying to debate second reading, committee stage, and then third reading so that we can stick to the schedule of getting out of here on May the 31st. And I would just say, I expect there's a good chance that we're going to be doing some debates long into the evening. I've shared this, I don't really have a lot of patience for time allocation. I do not want to see at the end of this session us rushing debate because it took a while to get these bills in. I really want to see us have a chance to debate them. I think it's important that we have quality debate, and that means that if we have to be here late into the night or all night, I'm sorry to my staff that are in this, to our staff, but we need to give these bills the right kind of attention that they're. I mean, we're talking bills around the benefit corps, but we're also talking about the framework, the legal framework for cannabis. Mm-hmm. That should not be a bill that's rushed. That should be a bill where we go through and make sure we get it right. There's enough unknowns out there, enough gray areas out there, and around the policy for this. And it's our job. It's our job to be here and to do our work rather than rush it so that we can get out for some self-imposed deadline of May the 31st. I vote for doing our job.
And on that, I think our job here today is done. Thank you for watching, unless there's anything you want to add.
I would just say you can get a hold of us at 250-655-5600. You'll see all of the information in the description of this video below. adam.olsen.mla@ledge.bc.ca, www.adamolsen.ca. Thank you so much for joining us. This is episode 13.
It is.
We've done 13 weeks of this show. We're going to continue to do it. We have a lot of fun.
Again, if you have any question you want Adam to answer,
Yeah.
send us an email, and we'll answer it in the public circle.
And one more thing, check out PlaySpeak. Go to the. It's self-explanatory, I hope, but this is a good way, another way for you to engage us. Go to the homepage of our website. You'll see it there. Click on the link. Join in. There's my lovely partner and wife, Emily. Thank you. She says, happy belated birthday. Thank you so much for jumping on, Emily. I'll be home in a few minutes. As you can see, we're in the legislature. We're not in Sidney. I'll be home in a few minutes. I look forward to hanging out with you and the kids. And if there's anybody that should be thanked, maybe you should. I could do it. I thank Emily every day for supporting us and supporting the family and supporting the work that we do in the constituency and the legislature. But I know that you're quite thankful for it as well.
Absolutely.
Working with her is pretty good,
It's excellent. Yeah.
Lots of love to you. Lots of love to the kids. We'll see you in a few minutes. Next Thursday, 4:30, same time, same place, Facebook. We hope to see you on episode number 14 of the Public Circle Live. So until then, stay tuned. Visit my website. Check out Facebook. Have a great day.